Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's coffee talk from Planet Fair. My name is Henrike von Platen, and I'm talking with
Margrét Bjarnadóttir.
It's so great to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I know you are far away from me at the moment, like far into the west direction. And what news do you have? What are your news that we can talk about today? I know there must be something.
Yeah, no, I'm sitting in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill, actually. I thought when I was thinking about what we would chat about, I thought we might chat about the upcoming changes in New York. So there's a new legislation that's supposed to kick in at the middle of May, on May 15, unless it gets stalled, that will require employers to actually list the salary ranges for every single position that they advertise for. And this will affect all employers down to 4 employees. So as soon as you have 4 employees, this should become your standard practice. And I thought, given your expertise, we might want to chat about, okay, how do companies prepare? Because it's not only New York. We see these legislations pop up in California, Colorado, Connecticut, number of different states, even 2 states in Ohio now have this requirement. So, just answering the questions, how do we get prepared?
Wow, yeah, that's good. And it's not even only US, but it seems like a wave going through US. It's like all over the place. You need more transparency, and you start in sort of grouping it together. I like that, actually, not saying like you be transparent on the individual level, but you start by being transparent on like the salary ranges. And I have the feeling that companies sometimes are a bit unsure on how they fix it inside a range, or have sometimes the feeling that if people would know the ranges, they feel under or overpaid inside the range, probably because they are not defined very well, to say it smoothly. Or maybe the levels have a good definition, like jumping from a junior to a management to a senior management level might have a good definition. But what happens inside the level? Or is the range too big? Or is the range like 10%, 20%, 30%, or only 5%? I know you've seen a lot. What would you say is the average range inside? Could we say that actually?
It's really industry dependent. So I've seen salary ranges, for example, for nurses that are tiny. And very super well defined. It's literally, if you have K years of experience, you are in this range, and then that's divided into 3 kind of performance groups: low, medium, and high, and then they stack these ranges, and it goes up a tiny bit every year. So and then you compare that perhaps to salary ranges in IT that tend to be much wider.
Okay, so the first ones would have the easy way and would probably have no issue with those laws coming up because they are well prepared, and the others really need to have a decent look at how to define their ranges. What I sometimes see as well, which might be something that some companies could sort of by step arranging the ranges, start by looking if they overlap too much, because I've seen that as well quite often, that you have the feeling that the staying with the junior management and senior management, for example, they start to overlap a lot. And if you have overlappings, too big overlappings, then it gets hard to explain too why you are still a junior but getting more than the one that is already a manager but just started or whatever. So I think that the overlaps could be a good starting point when you get prepared to sort of resolve your wage range.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's about it's a bit of a work, right? So when you think about companies going from zero transparency to, at least this level of transparency, having to publicly announce their salary ranges, is also a culture shift that needs to happen within the organization, right? So we know that salaries have often been almost like a taboo when it comes to, talking and speaking about it. So it's it's more, just getting prepared and organized and looking at your salary structure, quantifying what are my positions, what are the appropriate salary ranges, and how do we split them up, and how do we place people into those salary ranges. And since we are a coffee talk about pay equity, this also helps support the pay equity, because what are you doing? You are creating a process that should be demographic neutral. So this also supports your pay equity efforts, because now you have a procedure of how you pay and how you determine pay. So there are actually a couple of studies that have shown that this helps eliminate the pay gap.
I would suppose so too. Plus, it probably helps the people that are doing that job inside a company to actually get rid of maybe biased decisions that are somewhere, because you start to sort of really put in good reasons for moves inside those ranges, for salary moves, which don't depend on a person deciding, do I think this one is performing good or not, but I don't really know how to measure it because I have no system for this, or I have one because I implemented because I needed to define the range jumps. So it must have an effect on pay equity, and studies even show that. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think then, once you have that system in place, one of the critical decisions from a pay equity standpoint is that initial placement. So that's where you have to monitor things to make sure that you are not misplacing or biasing that initial placement decision, because that can have a huge effect. So we are actually, in my academic life, we're actually playing around with some federal pay data and studying these initial placements and then how they affect kind of your whole trajectory within your organization. So that will be exciting to look at.
That's really exciting, because I know from German studies in that area, especially from those companies that are very trade union based, where they have done studies like that, that when you think that you have good tariff contracts and you think that everything should be sort of at zero and perfect, and it's not, it's usually because of that first placement. That's the main reason why the underpaid women in the tariff systems, at least from what I know from Germany, are underpaid, because they started at sort of the one or two lower, and you can't catch that up in those systems. There's no way to catch it up. So the entry is the most important part. Plus, the other thing was when you have evaluations in between, the evaluations for next steps, then of course, and they always go to the base one again, and from there you move on. So looking forward to your results, because I could imagine they might be similar. And I see the clock.
Yep.
Coffee is empty. I actually didn't bring one today. It was
I had my coffee.
You have one. You enjoy it. And yeah, thank you. And let's keep this discussion going the next time, Margaret. See you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.